Hello and welcome to the Kuriaknits podcast. My name is Erin and I'm so glad that you've joined me here today. Today I am in a different location. I'm actually at my parents' house. They live in a smaller town where there is beautiful nature around, and it just so happens that I think we are upon the last nice weekend of the year. It is something that you hear a lot of people in my neck of the woods talking about, is that there's usually a weekend in October that's unseasonably warm, and I think it is upon us. Thus the sun. I honestly did not think it would be this sunny and this much of blue skies, so we are kind of fighting with the sun. I was going to film on their lower deck, but it is Spider City down there and I'm just not about that life, so I'm really hoping that the audio will be okay. There's like no wind, so I'm really hoping that this will be an okay situation. Is that a cobweb? See, this is the problem of me being raised and have never left the city, is that I have pretty severe arachnophobia and just no chill about it. Yeah, I have actually gone to therapy for it, so be gentle with me. I'm a little bit paranoid having seen what I saw on the lower deck, but I have hope. I have hope that it's going to be okay. I'm actually staying at my parents' house with my sister. They went away for the weekend, and so she just wanted some company, and so yeah, it's been lovely to be able to be out here. We took a nice walk yesterday to the park, and yeah, I mean, the only bad thing about it is I had planned to wear one of my PetiteKnits in this video, but unfortunately it is far too hot for that. I'm even sweating a little bit in this short sleeve shirt, so yeah, very warm, unseasonably so, and I don't think I'm gonna feel this for the next 6 months or so. How delightful it is to live in a place where I live. So anyways, I had brought, because I knew I had to film the podcast while I was here, a whole bin of my knitting. It looked completely ridiculous. I had a backpack of my things and then a bin of knitwear that I brought with me. So I guess we're just going to dive right into the bin. I don't know if I have anything else to say. It is really makes you kind of paranoid filming outside, I must say, just because I'm not completely secluded. My parents have neighbors and I feel like they are listening, so I hope I am speaking loud enough that it comes across on camera. Anyways, let's jump in to finished objects, or else we are going to be here forever. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention is if this couch situation is looking a little bit bare, my parents had already seasonized their outdoor space. They took all the cushions down. The table is no longer here. It is really just bare bones, things that can be snowed on, and so there is no comfort to be found. The only place where I could reasonably have some comfort outside is in the hot tub, and although that could be kind of a fun episode, I don't think that is what I would like to be putting on the internet, nor do I think my knits would have the best time in the proximity of some hot water. And the nice thing about being out here right now is that my dog can sunbathe, which he is very happy about. Actually, let me see if I can swing you around just to see him. There he is, Gibson. Hello. He actually really loves the sun, but he's only been an apartment dog. Let me set this up. Yeah, he actually really loves the sun, but he's only been an apartment dog, and so it's funny being here where I can just put him outside. He literally doesn't know what to do with himself, and so it's so funny. It's like a nice preview of what we have when we move into our new house. Is we're gonna have to train our poor little apartment dog how to be outside. So yeah, he's just a little bit perplexed. Even when I was in the hot tub yesterday, I brought him out with me and he had no idea what to do with himself. He ended up just sitting beside the hot tub and like looking at me and being like, what now? Yeah, such a little weirdo, but he's my little weirdo and he's the best. If you have ideas of what breed he could be, if you are a dog person like me, please leave them in the comments below. We actually don't know, and I've been going back and forth on as to whether to do one of those DNA tests for dogs because I am perpetually curious. I have a prediction and my husband has a prediction, and they're a little bit different from each other, so I would love to see your guesses down below, and perhaps I will do a DNA test just so we can fix all of our curiosity in this regard. Okay, I've got my first finished object right here, and she is beautiful. It is the Pippin Sweater by the knit book Purl Girl by Sophie. It is so beautiful. Look at it in the sun. Oh my gosh, the color is coming across so well out here. It is in this all over, I think it's called Sand Stitch, and it is in this stunning yellow color. This is what I had planned to wear today, so you can just picture me in this knit. Actually, I'll put it on just so you can see what it looks like on. Is this the right way around? Yeah, there's short rows in it, which is lovely, so it brings up the neckline, but sometimes it can be a little bit hard to see. Da-da-da. So I was a tester for this. Beautiful, beautiful. Looks great. I'll wear it for now. I was a tester for this sweater, which was a absolute joy to finally be able to test one of Sophie's patterns, and I will definitely be making more of this. I knit this in a sport weight yarn in Jagerspun mainline 3/8, and I tried to look about getting more of it, and I actually can't find it anywhere other than where I initially got it, which is Webb's in Massachusetts. And so if I ever decide to make another order from there, this will definitely be on my list, but it's like twice the price that I paid for it. I got it on some crazy sale. They were like $6 US a skein, and now they're up to $12 US a skein, and it is a delightful yarn. I just don't know I would pay that much having not paid that much, if that makes sense. So yeah, but if I can get my hands on it somewhere else, I would absolutely love to. It's a delightful yarn, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have a pattern that works well with sport weight yarns, as I always find it a little bit difficult to find patterns that are good with sport weight yarns, so I don't buy them very often. This pattern was actually made for a light DK weight, but I find that because I'm a bit of a looser knitter, a sport weight worked just great for me, and the only difference that I made from this to the pattern is I put some elastic in the neckband here just to keep it nice and taut, and I just think it looks great. The only note I had for Sophie on this pattern is for me, the raglan is a little bit deep, as you can probably tell. My armpit's up here, the raglan sits far down here. I think that's just a product of me being a petite person. I am 5'1", 5'2" on a good day, and so I am pretty petite. I'm sure that affects my proportions, which allows my raglans to be just a little bit deeper than they'd appear on some people, but honestly it doesn't bother me that much. I'll almost always be wearing it with some kind of t-shirt long sleeve underneath, so it's not that big of a deal for me. But if that's something that bothers you a lot, kind of creates like the little bit of bunching underneath the arms, up to you if that's something that bothers you. But overall, I think this is a stunning raglan pattern. It was such a joy to knit, and she is actually calling for testers. We might have missed the deadline, but she is asking for testers for a cardigan version of this. I decided not to apply just because my the rest of my fall Christmas after this, you'll be seeing some cast-ons for some Christmas holiday projects, and I just didn't want to overload myself during this season, so I decided to forgo the test, although I will definitely be looking forward to the pattern because I am just so in love with this sweater, and I'm so excited to be casting on some more of Sophie's patterns in the not so distant future. I don't know if I have anything else to say. I really love this color, but I will say that looking on my wardrobe and looking at the knits that I'm working on now, I'm definitely going to be leaning towards some more neutral colors for the rest of winter. I think I need them in my wardrobe, and I had a catastrophe with my one black sweater, my Sunday sweater. I'll put a photo up here in Drops Air, and it was a stunning sweater. I wore it to death because it was my only black sweater, and it had a mishap where it ended up in my washing machine and felted. The redeeming factor is I actually think it's still wearable. I just need to completely depill it and kind of work on it a little bit, because it also it felted unevenly just because of the nature of how it felted. I need to take this off, sorry, it is so warm. Just because of the nature of how it felted, it's a little bit uneven in some places, especially on the arms. There's like a whole section where it didn't felt at all, so I need to figure out how to resolve that. So I think the sweater is actually going to fit okay once I put some work into it, but I just haven't bothered to do that. I'm still mourning the sweater. I'll try and put a clip in of what the sweater looks like presently. You'll see it definitely needs some work, but I'm hoping to redeem it. I will say I would have never thought about felting Drops Air, but it is such a beautiful velvety fabric now. I actually think I like the feel of it even better than Drops Air, and that's saying something because I adore Drops Air. So I don't know, maybe the way to go is to felt Drops Air. I'm not saying to do that, but I really like the way it feels. I have never felted anything on purpose, and so it is kind of interesting having a felted sweater, being able to feel it for myself and see the difference and think about, is this something that I would want to do in the future? I think it'd actually be really good for slippers. I think that's what a lot of people use felting for. I will definitely have to follow a pattern to T though, because I have no concept of how much felting actually shrinks something. I know it does shrink something, but I would not know how to knit something to make it shrink accurately, if that makes sense. I don't know. Oh, the other thing, this is all over the place. This sweater, the other thing I wanted to say is I use 3 1/4 skeins of that Jaeger spun. So this is also a super economical project. I spent around 20 Canadian dollars, I'd say, on this. And I have 3/4 of a skein left, so perfect for a hat or mitts or something. But I was really pleased at how much yarn I ended up using for this. So I was actually a little bit worried that 4 skeins wouldn't be enough. I actually almost bought 5, and I'm glad that I didn't. I made the right choice for this guy. Okay, this next one is a project that I've had a mild obsession with for a very long time, and it's knit up pretty quick actually, and it is my Miles shirt jacket. Let me do up the first button so I can try and show this off a little better. Oh gosh, it came undone anyway. Da, 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 da. It is a stunning shirt jacket. It is entirely too warm to have this on my lap right now. Let me just do up maybe more of the buttons and it will kind of stay together a little bit more. That is one thing that I will have to do. There we go. On this project is reinforce these buttonholes because they are just not holding on to the buttons very well at all. I probably needed some bigger buttons, but I feel like these buttons work well with the space that it's given. I don't know, am I crazy? Should I have gone bigger? I actually really like the buttons that I chose. They're kind of like this gray black tortoiseshell. But yeah, I am just absolutely in love with it. It is going to be an early winter, late winter staple when the temperature is around 0 degrees. I think that this will be perfect. I already wore it a little bit last week when the temperature was sitting around 5 degrees and it kept me nice and toasty. It is knit in, how am I gonna get this right? Pluto Lopi, which is the unspun Lopi yarn from Istax, and it was held double to create this absolutely beautiful fabric. And there's also some beautiful back detailing lines right there. I'm so in love with the construction of this. This is by Ozetta. I'm all over the place. I'm so sorry. This is just, wow. And it was my first time working with unspun yarn. It is huge. It's got this stunning detailing in the sides here where it kind of flips up a little bit. Let me wear it for a second here just so you get the idea of what it looks like. It's definitely an oversized fit, which is perfect for a jacket. It's got these double folded over cuffs at the top here. I ended up just closing them up with a little bit of crochet here because they kind of flung open. And then on the sides, we've got this stunning detail here. And it is so unbelievably warm that I am going to take it off right now. But yeah, it has been a joy to work on this project. As I said, it was my first time using an unspun yarn, and I will say it is not my favorite. but I would do it again. The one thing that I really like about using an unspun yarn is the finished product, and I think that's what a lot of other people say, is that it is worth it for the finished product, and I would have to agree. I would say that this is probably the softest slopey that I've felt when knit up, and I think that probably does have something to do with its unspun quality. I find it next to skin soft, and yeah, I don't really find it scratchy. I even wore it indoors. There was something wrong in our office with the heat. This happens this time of year. It's like people just forget to turn on the heat, and I wore it in the office for like an 8-hour day, and I did not mind it being next to skin at all. So that's a positive for sure. And I would definitely, I mean, I have plans. I would love to make another one of these in a light white color, like a light gray color, like an almost white color. There's a color from Ozetta that I think will be perfect. I'm very happy to use this yarn again. I don't know if I would use it for anything other than a jacket. I can't see myself wearing a sweater like this. I do have yarn in my stash that I do plan on making an Alafla slopey sweater just to see if I would wear it, but I'm much more likely to chuck on a jacket than a sweater. And I've learned that especially because I ended up getting an anorak, and I've wanted an anorak forever, and I actually find it really annoying to take off and take on when I'm putting my jacket on and off. So I don't know that thicker sweaters are for me, especially because I'd be more likely to wear them on a walk, and I'm only going out for a walk for like a half-hour tops probably in the winter, and I just don't know that it's worth it to like mess up your hair and maybe mess up your makeup and just like have to faff around with it. So yeah, I don't know if I do a pullover in it, but I would love to do more jackets in it. There is some lovely jacket patterns that I found on Ravelry that are more traditional, that have like kind of a skirt going out, and I would love to try to make something like that. I had a knitted jacket years ago that was bought for me, and I would love to try and recreate it because it's absolutely stunning. And I would actually love to try and put a lining in one, because I found that knitted jacket was the jacket that I most wanted to wear on a daily basis, and it has completely fallen apart because it wasn't a very good brand. And so I would love to make it for myself and reinforce it on the inside and really just spend some time on it to make myself a very beautiful, nice knitted jacket. But I think that this does the trick for now, and I'm planning to make another one in the not so distant future. I'm hoping to have the light gray one done for spring so that I can wear it then, because I love the shape. I love the way it looks. I think it is a perfect staple for my wardrobe. I did end up making a size 1 because I am using the I keep on wanting to call it Alpha Slopey, but it's not, it's Plutolopi instead of the yarn suggested in the pattern, which is Manchio Slopey, something like that. This yarn is thicker when held double. The other yarn hits around a worsted DK weight. I would say held double, this hits about a bulky weight. And so I sized down in the pattern as suggested by other people who had done this. I sized all the way down to a size 1, and it was still a little bit big on me. So if you are slimmer than myself, I don't know that that would be the most ideal thing for you. I have seen other people use the Plutolopi and their fingering weight Lopi and use those together to create the size that is the Manchio Slopey. If you can't get your hands on that, I found it a little bit difficult to obtain myself when I looked, and also the shade range is more limited on that one. So if you want to use Istex for a multitude of reasons, I would recommend it, but I would just make sure that if you are my size or larger, you're sizing down quite considerably. And if you are smaller than me or my size and don't want something oversized, to look into their, is it Einbrenn? I might be getting that completely wrong. Their fingering weight Lopi to hold with this. I think that would be a really excellent combination. I ended up using 5 plates almost completely for this. I think I brought, yeah, this is all I have left from my 5 plates, and this is not much because it's really loosely held together. It's like I could squish this together and it would be absolutely nothing. I was really scared that I would run out of yarn. I had basically exactly enough yarn that I needed for this to be a nice comfy fit for me. I did make it a little bit shorter than suggested in the pattern, so if you're tall, I would caution you on being able to get this done with 5 plates. I would probably buy 6 to be safe, but knowing that I can get this done in 5 plaits, that's a huge win for me. And I will definitely be trying to do that in the future. So yeah, this has been an absolutely amazing project. I would love to make more. I would basically love to have them in every color, but I know that's unrealistic. I also would love to try it in a softer yarn as more of a cardigan type wear, something that I could wear a little bit more in the house, because I wear shirt jackets just all the time. I have 3 of them on heavy rotation. One of them is more of like a PJ shirt jacket, and I wear them around the house all the time. I find them so versatile. I wear them to death. And so if I could use this pattern to make something like that, I would absolutely love to do that. I don't know if I have anything else to say about this. I did find I had to take it into my local craft store to find the buttons, because I wasn't convinced with any of the buttons that I had in my stash. And like I said, I will have to, what is that? Oh my gosh, I've got a loose stitch. Do you see this little, it's like, it's calling out for me to save it. Help me. Okay, so I'll have to fix that. Lucky I have a little bit of the Lopi left. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. That's so funny. It's just, it's literally just sitting out. That is so funny. Anyways, so yeah, I'll definitely have to reinforce those buttonholes and fix that, and then it will be perfectly done. The other thing actually is these pockets that are on here. They're lovely. They took forever, like forever. I had finished the whole body. I had actually worn it out because I had no patience. And then I went to go put pockets on that night, and it took me like 3 hours to knit and put those damn pockets on. So if you think you're done and you're like, oh, I've only got the pockets left, do not underestimate how much time these damn pockets will take you, because I wanted to make sure they were lined up properly. Obviously you have to knit them up. You're knitting back and forth. It takes more time than you think it will. It took me more time than I thought it will anyways. And yeah, so just beware, I suppose. Okay, the next thing I have to show you is a half finished object, and it is a little hand warmer. It looks ridiculous when it's like this. Excuse my nails, I haven't done them because I've been typing a whole lot lately and I find it annoying. But yeah, I really love this. I wish I made it a little bit longer, but I just really wanted this to be like a quick knit, and I am really pleased. I will definitely be making the second one, and I think this will be perfect for walking the dog in the winter, and I would love to make more of it. So this is actually, there is a bee on my foot. Hello, bee. Can we, oh, he's doing a dance on my foot. He has found, okay. Anyways, yeah, so this is the watch cap, hat, and mitts pattern. I use their hand warmer pattern, and I really like this pattern. I used magic loop for this actually. I was going to use double pointed, and for whatever reason, I love double pointed. I use them for almost all my sleeves. I use them all the time. I'm definitely more of a double pointed person than I am magic loop. For whatever reason, magic loop was calling for me for this, and it worked great. I still have a ton of yarn coming out of this. I mean, this isn't much. It is knit in a DK weight, and I'm using Creative Knitter DK in their color Fireside. And this was actually sent to me. It is part of their newest pre-order collection, and I think the pre-order is actually closed now, but I'm hoping that it will go into regular circulation if you would like to get this. But it is a lovely, very lightly variegated orange color. I love it. And the reason I went for mitts is that it has a super wash, and so I thought it would be really durable, and I was like, do I do socks? Do I do something else? And I thought mitts would be good because you want them to be durable, especially with them being on your palm. They're gonna have the leash rubbing up against it, and I just thought superwash would be perfect for a mitt. I don't find them too, I think I talked about it last time, it's not too super washy, but I think I could probably get 2 mitts and maybe even hat, maybe even some like a shorty socks, that's the name of it, with these. My only concern, and the reason I didn't go for a hat, like a muscle burra to begin with, is I'm not sure this will look great on my skin. I think it looks great with my hair. Not so sure it will go great with my skin, and I also don't know if it would go great with my jackets. So that's why I initially, and I don't really care if this goes great with my jacket, but my hat is kind of front and center. And so I think they might be shorty socks. I'm not a big sock person, but I think in a DK weight, it'll be a little bit more manageable, especially knowing how fast this thing came along. I was thinking when I had finished kind of like this portion of it, I'm like, I could just make a sock from here. And I don't think I'd hate myself while doing it. So maybe DK socks are the way to go to make me a sock knitter. I don't know. But yeah, I'll probably have the second mitt done by next time, and judging by the weather, I may actually need these sooner rather than later. So that will be lovely to have. I actually have no knitted mitts in my collection, and so this is my first ever knitted mitt. The only thing, I ended up making the child size because there's a truck. I ended up making the child size for these. I tried the adult small and it was far too big. The only thing that I had to amend is that I had to add 4 stitches on the thumb on the inside here, so it's not as nice on the inside as in the original, but it fits great and looks good from almost every other angle, so I don't mind that, and I will be doing that again. I've heard that from a lot of other people who've done more the watch cap hat, and that they had to go for the child size for whatever reason. It just seems to be really big, very generous with the sizing, which is not a terrible thing, but just make sure that you're making the right size. All right, getting into whips. I have been on a sleeve tirade. As you've noticed, I did 4 sleeves for each of my finished objects, and I have also done a half a sleeve, which I think for 2 weeks of work is not too bad. That sleeve looks ridiculous. This is my sweater number 15 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I have done about half a sleeve. And because of how cables kind of bunch up, it kind of looks ridiculous right now. But that's how it's looking. I was unable to pick up the required amount. So I have 1 less cable on my sleeve than what they recommend for the size that I'm knitting. And I don't know why. I was picking up at one point every stitch and I could only get to like 1 less, I don't want to give the stitch amounts because I feel like that's giving away the pattern, but like 1 less cable than what she had suggested, and I don't know why that is. So my sleeve's going to be a bit tighter than on the initial pattern. I think I'm just going to have to block it a little bit more generously. I've been trying it on a little bit. I don't think it'll be too big of a problem, but just so you're aware, if you're also, this is a size 2, you may have to pick up size 1's stitches. Yeah, this is the way it goes. I think this will be absolutely stunning when it's finished. I cannot wait to get it off the needles. The sleeves are actually going pretty fast, a lot faster than the body did, or at least it's perceivedly. I know that it's less cables and that should seem obvious, but I often find that sleeves are a bit of a slog, but I find that these sleeves have had just enough interest that they're not bothering me as much. What is bothering me very much is these new Chiagu tips. They're like the 360 turn, and you may notice the join on there is not as nice as the join on the regular ones, and they keep catching on my stupid yarn, and it's driving me up the wall, especially because these are just barely like the right size for these sleeves. I should probably switch to magic loop or double pointed, but I'm at my parents' house and I would rather do double pointed than magic loop with these, and it is driving me up the wall. I would not recommend these flexi tips. They I think they're nice to have the 360, it's fine, but the join is awful. Like, it just keeps catching in a way that my red lace never ever do. So if you're a Chiagu person and you have been looking at these silver cords thinking, oh, it'd be so nice to have the 360, do not do it. It is not worth your money. I wish I could take these back. I do not like them. I do not like them. This is knit in drops Mohair and Ficalana Arvetta, and I've got, I think I brought them, I did, in a beautiful green color. I've talked about it before, so I won't turn it on. These are yarns that I picked up while I was in Copenhagen. It was my first time using both of these and I like them. I do wish that the Ficalana wasn't super wash, but Presumably it'll make this a bit more of a durable sweater, and I think it's like the least super washy yarn I've ever felt, especially compared to some others that when you feel the super wash you're like, oh, that's literal plastic. Not so much with this one, and I think it's a beautiful color that'll be perfect, especially for, I envision this for like after Christmas. This is very like January, February color to me, even like March. Is that crazy that I think of like I associate colors with months? But yeah, cannot wait to have this off the needles. My plan is to have this as an FO the next time you see it, because I've just got the sleeves to go, and I know now I can do 4.5 sleeves in 2 weeks, as well as other knitting. So dangerous to have this information. But I am almost done my 3rd skein of each of these, and so this is my 4th. We're moving on to the 5th. I bought 6 of each for this project, and I think I think I bought the exact right amount for what I have been using so far. Maybe even a little bit too much, but those colors are gorgeous and I could definitely use them for some kind of accessory. Those are things that I think actually do look okay next to my skin color, so I'm not too concerned about being able to use those up if I do have a little bit of extra. Okay, so my next project is the Tulip Guernsey by Midori Hirose, and I finished my front panel. Or is this the back panel? Who can tell? I think they actually are identical. So this will kind of sit here. It's actually does stretch a little bit out. So this pattern continues until a little bit under the bust, and then it switches to stockinette, and it is a pattern that I have just fallen completely in love with. The little, see, this is where the sun causes problems. These cables in here are actually so fun to make. They create this stunning little tulipy design. I just love the way that this is turning out. I think I need to knit basically this exact panel again for the front or the back. I don't really remember. But I mean, this wasn't very hard to knit. I just it hasn't been a priority on my needles. And yeah, super enjoyable. It's on 5mm. So the dog is under this right now. He just comes out from like literally underneath me. You are insane. Do you want to come sit with me? Come here. Come here. No, he's just gonna sit in front of me instead. It's been a bit of a mood. I think it's because he's unfamiliar with this house. This isn't the house I grew up in. My parents ended up moving last spring, and so this is a new house to me, and the dog was extremely upset when they ended up moving. He loved the old house. He would, like, when we got out of the car, he knew exactly where he was going. He'd like run. He loved it, and this house I think he's still a little bit unsure about, so he's a little bit of a weirdo. But yes, this version comes in 2 different sleeves lengths. You can, or I think 3, you can do short sleeves, 3/4 or full sleeves. I am hoping to be able to do the full sleeves with this, but I chose this pattern specifically because I like all of the sleeve options, and I wasn't sure how much I could get out of the yarn that I have. And I am using, oh gosh, Wandering Souls Amble from the Fibre Co. I ended up picking this at the Kitchener Yarn Fair, and since I have had people coming out of the woodworks to tell me how much they adore this yarn. It is 100% wool. No, it's not. It's 70% wool, 20% alpaca, and 10% nylon. And it says you can machine wash it. And I have had people since the last podcast confirm that they do machine wash this, and it is absolutely fine. I will not be doing that, partially because I'm holding with the mohair, but partially because that scares the living crap out of me. But I just couldn't pass up this color. I think it's absolutely stunning. It's like a burnt orangey red color. It is in the color Nutkin, which I think is very funny. And I, so far, have been really loving working with this yarn. I wanted to pair it with a mohair, and so I grabbed Sandisgarn Tin Silk in the color Rust. This is my first time using the Sandisgarn mohair, and I can't tell much of a difference between this and the drops. I suppose the Sandisgarn is just a touch softer. I mean, they might wear differently, but for the price difference between the two, I think I'll probably just go with drops for almost everything. The main reason that I went with Sandisgarn is I wanted to make sure that I got the best color match possible between these two. And even still, this is a little bit light, but this is the best I could find. And I went in person to buy this at Galt House of Yarn. So and they don't have drops. Well, I think they do actually have some drops Mohair, but they didn't have it in this color. And so I decided to splurge to be able to have a good color match on this. I'm glad I did. I think the color match is pretty good. It is still, you can still notice the Mohair in there. It is still, especially the core is a little bit lighter. I don't know if that's gonna come up on camera. I think it might be too sunny. But you can definitely tell, not from afar, but when you're a little bit close up, you can tell that there's a strand of something different in there. But I find that the halo is actually quite similar. So, I mean, you win some, you lose some, but I actually really love the look of this, and I don't think the Mohair is going to bother me. Like, the slight color variation is not going to bother me too much. On some garments, it really does bother me, but I think this one's going to be fine. It's not as good of a match as, say, like this, where you literally can't tell the difference, but it's not bothering me too much. I think it's going to be okay. But yeah, I just haven't really picked that one up much other than to finish the front panel. So hopefully I'll be able to pick it up a little bit more soon. The reason that I cast this on, I really didn't need to cast anything else on, but I kept on looking at this color and I was like, I need to cast this on sooner rather than later. So I'm most likely to wear this through the fall, and hopefully I can finish it this fall and get a little bit of wear out of it. But regardless, I'll continue to wear it through the winter, and it'll be around for next fall, and I am looking forward to that. This next one I predict being a little bit hard to show. I'll just hold it up. Ta-da! This is, oh gosh, a mess. It is a cardigan. It is very scrunched up on the needles right now. It is by Ozetta as well. It is the Oversized Seasons cardigan, I believe. If that is wrong, it will appear on the screen. But it is an all over half fisherman's rib cardigan with a beautiful raglan detailing and a fun vertical button band. And I chose it because I wanted something with a vertical button band, but I also wanted something that would break up the purling, and I think that some kind of ribbed cardigan is perfect, but I also just adore fisherman's rib. So this cardigan, because it's in fisherman's rib, has been a little bit slower to knit up, but I absolutely am obsessed with the results. I think it is going to be the most perfect finished object when done, and I am so excited. I am almost ready to split off the sleeves. I am maybe 4 rows away from splitting off the sleeves, and then it won't look so ridiculously bunched up. It looks like a like it has shoulder pads in it or something. It looks so ridiculous. And I think the body will fly by after that. I love knitting in fisherman's rib. It isn't a burden for me. I think I feel about fisherman's rib the way that a lot of people feel about brioche. That said, I've never tried brioche, and they create similar results. So perhaps the next time I want to make a cardigan or sweater in this kind of fabric, I should try brioche and see if I like that better. But I don't know, I just really like fisherman's rib. I think it's beautiful. And my favorite thing about fisherman's rib, especially in cardigans, is that it breaks out all your purling. Having a full knit row and a full purl row, I feel really brings me down during my knitting. I just like, I can't get through the full purl rows, especially right before you've split for sleeves. I'm like, oh my gosh, there is so much purling. There's like 400 stitches on these needles, and I have to purl them all, and I'm gonna have to do it again, and it just is too much for me. And I would much rather knit purl than have a full row of purls. Call me crazy, but that's just how I feel. And so I find that this has been an excellent way to get through a cardigan with a lot of purling, is to be able to knit in purl. And I know I could just make a garter cardigan. I think some of them are fine. I think a lot of them are not my personal forte, but I am knitting this in Knitting for Olive double merino in soft cognac. I had a subscriber not so lovingly tell me I was pronouncing things wrong and told me I should no longer, there's a beep, there's also a bee on my coffee cup. Can we not, friend? This is the time of year where all the wasps are like dopey, and so you can kind of get away with slapping them a little bit more, but it freaks me out. I know some people that will just like smack them this time of year, so they're very unlikely to sting you, but I've been swarmed before, and I don't like that. Anyways, I had a subscriber, some of them were very nice about it. One of them was told me that it is pronounced cogniac, and that if I cannot speak properly, I should not be a PhD. So for you, soft cogniac. I'm still not convinced I'm saying that properly, to be fair, in the double merino. And I thought I had grabbed one. Oh gosh, now it's all being tangled. This is my working ball. I thought I had grabbed one that was not attached, but this is the mohair I'm using in dark cognac. You see? And held together, I think they are absolutely lovely. This is by far, I think, yeah, by far my favorite mohair that I've ever used. While we're talking mohair, a lot of my projects are mohair right now. That is not purposeful. I'm not like a mohair exclusivist. I have just really been I've been enjoying exploring the way that mohair can fill out garments without adding too much weight. And it just so happens I have a lot of fingering weight yarns on my rotation right now that I didn't want to make a fingering weight garment with, and mohair is the obvious way to remedy that. And so I've seen a lot of people. Let's just talk about the complaints I've been seeing lately. A lot of people online have been complaining that all podcasters, do I want to get into this rant? Okay, there are two complaints that have been going on online that I think are very funny in the knitting community. The first one is about mohair, and them saying that every podcaster is obsessed with mohair and that they're trying to feed mohair off on people. I even saw a thread that was wondering if a bunch of podcasters are secretly in with big mohair, which I found very funny. I'm not personally in with big mohair, although, I mean, if let me in the secret club, please, I would love some more mohair. For me, at least, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, I've just been loving to explore how mohair fills out garments, as I had said. It was something that I had not used. I think this was my first object that I ever knit mohair in. So mohair is still very new to me, and because it is a newer fabric to me, I've just been having fun exploring what it brings to an object. I am not someone that actually loves a lot of fluff. The halo, I've never understood. Like, I like looking at a halo, but in my garments, I'm not like, oh, I need a halo on my sweaters. That is not something that I look for in a garment, especially if I'm buying kind of off the rack. It was never something that I wanted out of my objects. And I think as I get more into the knitting community and you just see more people using mohair, there are some noises. As you see more people using mohair, you just become curious, especially as all of your favorite designers are starting to add mohair into their projects. You're like, what am I missing out on? So I do not think you have to hold a second thread with anything. I think that I have knit many garments that call for mohair without mohair, and it is absolutely fine if you want to leave the mohair out. I have just wanted to experiment with mohair a little bit, and as you can see with my next project, I specifically wanted a project without mohair, and I specifically chose my next project to have without mohair because I did not want the properties of mohair in it, even though the original has mohair. So I can talk about that in a minute. But the other thing that I've seen going around online is that knitting podcasters have the audacity to call themselves podcasters. And I happen to agree. So I think of, even though podcasts, I'm pretty sure the original term was used with a video podcast. It has been overwhelmingly used to indicate an audio format. And knitting podcasters say that they're podcasters, even though our product is inherently visual. And it really bothered me when I first got into the knitting community and people were like, oh, listen to this knitting podcast. And I was like, what do you mean podcast? How would a knitting even relate to a podcast? Are you talking like techniques? When you need to see the techniques to know the techniques? And the answer is yes, you do need to see the techniques almost always. I'm sure there are some audio only knitting podcasts. I'm not particularly interested in them, if I'm being honest. Leave me some good ones if you really think I should be. I'm a huge podcast listener. I listen to podcasts more than I listen to music, and it really bothered me at the beginning, but wanting to join this community myself I just got used to the term being used in this way. I started using the term in this way, and I knew that if I wanted to have in any way gain an audience on this platform and be able to be speaking to people instead of myself, into speaking to fellow podcasters, I too needed to call myself a podcaster, because that's what people are searching. The #1 search that brings people to me is knitting podcast. And so if I didn't use the term podcast and I was like, I hate the term podcast, this isn't an audio platform, I would be losing subscribers. I wouldn't be able to chat to as many of you. I would guess that a lot of you wouldn't have found me. And so I totally understand their frustration with it. I had that frustration too, but I just learned that sometimes terms are appropriated and terms are taken over in certain communities, and sometimes that's okay. In this case, we're not hurting anyone. I think it's totally fine that knitters have decided that these things are called podcasts, and we're just gonna move on from it. But I see this come up. I've had people message me about it, and I get it. I totally get it. That's why I wanted to talk about it. I share the frustration, but I think a lot of podcasters also share the frustration, but also are kind of in a place where they're stuck, where you kind of have to use these terms because they're what's already been established in this community. So that's my 2 cents on that. I have one more finished object to share. Alrighty, so I definitely gave into the hype on this one, and I am knitting PetiteKnit's latest pattern, the Moby Sweater. It's really letting in a lot of light here. I think if I hold it up to me, it's a little bit better. So this is actually the back panel here. So it kind of sits on your back like this, and then this is the beginning of the front panel. So it will come around like so. Ta-da! So this front panel is actually finished. I finished it last night, and I then have to work on this panel, and then they join. So this has been an absolute pleasure to work on. The reason I have so much done and I just cast it on is because I love this pattern. I did not think I would love it as much as I did. I don't think, like, to be honest, I don't think it's the most beautiful cable pattern ever. I think I've seen better cabled patterns, but I thought, looking at it, I'm like, that's gonna be so much fun to knit. And honestly, it is so much fun to knit. I have been loving it. It is so easy to memorize. I would say, like, you start here by, like, here, I had the pattern memorized. I just had to look as to when to make these cables. This section, I thought would be so much harder than it is. Unbelievably easy to memorize. Everything else is so simple. This whole sweater, you create this beautiful pattern, and you don't even have to think about it. It just flies off your needles. It's just as much enough interest to keep you engaged. It is perfect TV knitting, and I just think it looks so nice. I think it'll be the perfect sweater. I'm so excited to have it, and I think that I have chosen, not to toot my own horn too much, but the perfect combination of pattern and yarn. So let's take a quick look at the yarn. I decided to knit this in this Daylights by Harrisville? Yes, Harrisville Designs. And it is this stunning American cornmeal yarn in a worsted weight. This is my first time using a yarn like this that's 100% cornmeal. I have been told by one of you lovely people that they are actually the same people. It is milled in the same place that Brooklyn tweed comes from, and I can confirm that this feels a lot like Brooklyn tweed. I wanted to knit this in a light colored yarn, and I was actually going to buy some white yarn, and I was looking through my stash. I'm like, you know what? This isn't what it's called for in the pattern, but I actually think it'll work really well, and I think I have enough to make it. And I was waiting for the perfect sweater to use this yarn on. So this sweater actually calls for, I'm pretty sure, a DK weight and a mohair. And a lot of the people's sweaters have a beautiful drape to them. They use the mohair to create that drape, but I like that mine has unbelievable stitch definition, and I think I like that better than the halo that's created from the mohair. And so I'm actually really pleased with my choice to not use a mohair, as I think it's making this stitch pattern stand out even more, especially these cables. Like, look at the definition on those things. And obviously they're going to be stretched a little bit more when they're blocked out, but like, I love it. It's one of those patterns where every time I finish a row, I just stare at it for a moment, as it's always evolving, it's always growing, and I just love it. I love it so much. There hasn't been a pattern in a long time that's given me this much joy to knit, and I'm also excited for the finished object. I can honestly see myself making another one of these because it's just been so much fun. And this yarn is actually amazing as well. I think the unfortunate thing about this yarn is there's actually not many colors of it that I like. So the whole idea with this yarn is that it is a natural base and then they add some colors into it. So this is their Daylight base. They also have, I think it's called Nightshades, which is their black base. And so I went for this white base. This is the color Caffeine. So it has brown speckles within it. They're actually kind of blackish on here. Some of them are orangey. I don't know if you can see. I don't know if this light is perfect for that kind of thing. But they have ones where they have like green specks, blue specks, red specks. I think the other one that I really liked had more orangey red specks. I thought that was really lovely. And then they have black with the same idea. So they have black with green specks, black with blue specks. And I found that the specks, it kind of took away from the naturalness of these shades, at least for me. And so the fact that this is speckled in a browny orange, I think is perfect. It adds to the natural beauty of this yarn. It is so unbelievably light. Like this whole sweater is like, it's so light. For all of this, I've used about half a skein. And it is an unbelievably light sweater, but I also think it's going to be so warm just because there's so much air and there's so many bees on this deck right now. It's like they've all come to the deck in ladybugs, and it's a lot for this city girl. But yeah, I've just been so loving using this yarn. I actually saw that the Knitting Loft in Toronto carries this yarn. So if I love it enough, when I finish my sweater, I may be looking into getting another sweater's quantity of it, or possibly just trying some Brooklyn tweed. I had mentioned when I had first in the video my knitting through New England that I was able to feel this, but also feel Brooklyn tweed at Knit New Haven. And Brooklyn tweed yarn, I had never understood the hype. I had tried it at an Ottawa-based yarn store that I can't remember the name of. I felt it and I was like, oh, I don't understand the hype on this. Like, it's nice, but it's not, I don't know. I didn't find it to be anything special until I felt a knit up sample that had been washed and blocked at Knit New Haven. And I was like, oh, I get it now. I get it. Like, this is beautiful. So I'm really hoping that this both creates that same similar fabric, but if it does and I love it, then I might just try Brooklyn tweed because I like their colors a little bit more than this Harrisville. And I'll also look in to see if Harrisville, I think that they have a yarn that's not this Daylight's Nightshade series. So yeah, I've just been beyond impressed. It is definitely a bit of a splurge of a yarn. I think I paid $20 US each for these skeins, so this is definitely a luxury higher end project for me. It'll definitely be more of a treat, possibly a Christmas yarn that I buy for myself, but I think that the finished product is going to be really, really beautiful, and I'm so looking forward to having it, and I've been so enjoying knitting on it. And honestly, if I can get this feeling again, that is so worth it to me to spend the money on this yarn for that. And honestly, I can't tell. I really do think it is the combination of the yarn and the pattern. I don't know if I was just knitting on one or the other, if I would feel this like beautiful symbiotic of knitting with it. I don't know. I haven't felt this way about a project in a long time, and I'm so thrilled to be working on something that I love so much. So yes, that is the end of this project, or this podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I have not gotten a chance to wind that mohair up yet because I am still in the middle of my comps. I have my oral exams this upcoming week, and then I have some time off. I'm still working on, I have various jobs on campus. I also have to do my own research. I have to get back into learning Latin. I am also moving house, and there's a lot I need to do regarding that. I need to sell a whole bunch of furniture because we've decided to not take a whole bunch of stuff that were like kind of hand-me-down stuff to the new house. We really want to make it our own. We need to get things like boring things like insurance, and I'm talking to lawyers, and it's like a whole new thing. I still need to, my building has been impossible to get a hold of, so I still need to give notice. It's been an adventure. So I mean, I'm off, but I'm going to be kept very busy, so I'm going to try my best to be able to get this done. I really want to get it done before we move house, because I think once I move there'll be painting and home projects and just I'll be kept busy with lots of other things, but I'm so excited for the season ahead of us. I love fall as much as this weather is absolutely gorgeous. It's going to be an amazing weather for a nice fall walk. I also am just so looking forward to the colder weather where I can wear my knits, wear them outside as I plan to today, and just really enjoy cozying up by a nice fire, and I'm really looking forward to that. In terms of content, I will have a podcast out in 2 weeks time, but I'm also looking into other video ideas. I've got a few on the go that I'm planning, so hopefully there'll be some other things in your feed soon. If there's something specific that you want to see from me, please drop it down below. And I'm also quickly approaching 2,000 subscribers, so thank you so much for being here. If you're not subscribed, please do. That would be a milestone that I would love to hit, and I am so grateful for each and every one of you. I actually still get the email for everyone that subscribes, and I thank them audibly. I've got like a ritual for myself because I'd never want to remove the person from the subscriber, so I always say thank you username when I get those emails in. So thank you all very much for subscribing. I'm so grateful to each and every one of you. This has just been such a joyful adventure to be on, and if there's anything that you would like to see, please leave it down below, and maybe for 2,000 I will look into doing a Q&A or a knit and chat sort of thing. I always enjoy watching them, but the idea of doing them freaks me out a little bit because I feel like people will judge my knitting or something, or I don't know what I think is gonna happen, but it kind of freaks me out a little bit. But anyways, I hope you all have a absolutely amazing week, and I will see you next time.